Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, whatever you're watching from, whatever nation, whatever tribe, whatever language you speak, whatever your background, whatever your cultural beliefs. You're welcome to the live. Every tribe, you're welcome. Every nation, you're welcome. Every tongue, you're welcome. May the Lord richly bless you as you enter. Settle in as the Lord richly blesses you. Sit down and receive what the Lord has in store. Assuming the Lord has something in store for this particular video, because I don't even know if it's worth releasing. There is a theory of evolution that man has put on the table. Theory of evolution. I believe it was not Einstein, though Einstein is coming to the forefront of my head. He was a mathematician. Not Freud, though he's also coming to the top. He was a philosopher. His name doesn't even exist. At least in my mind, I don't recall who he was, nor what he was. Who came up with the theory of evolution? Does be in the chat if you can remind me. Now, glow up high blessings. The theory of evolution. Who came up with it? I know, I've just forgotten, because it's not in the eyes of God. It is not even anything worth considering. As anything. It's pointless. Absolutely pointless, the theory of evolution. But man has put it on the table. We've studied it in schools. We continue to debate about it even today. The simplest thing I can even mention, in the title I wrote, who or what came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken or the egg? Likewise, let me put it to you in this way. What came first, considering with man as a consideration? Did the baby come first, or did man come first in his adult form? Did the baby come first, or did the human being, the adult, come first in his human form? Consider it this way. If the baby came first, how did it feed itself? How did it survive? How did it grow up? Who protected it? How was it housed? How was it clothed? How was it fed? Just think about it. If the baby came first, how did it protect itself? It is impossible. It is impossible. It is impossible. Natural vegan, I have not. I will look at it again after this live is done to just see. Let's just be logical. Man had to come in his full human form, his adult form first, before any child could be born, because the children would not be protected otherwise. Which means man, the very first man, had to be an adult. Now, where would an adult man come from without first being born, without first having gone through the stages from baby to adulthood, except that God had created him that way from the beginning? Where did the first man come from? Because logically, just think about it logically, a baby could not have come on the earth first, because nothing was there to feed it, to protect it, to house it, to clothe it. If babies were here on the earth first, none of us would be here today. Just put a baby out on the streets yourself. Just think about it, on the streets alone. How long would it survive? Do you think you'll be here today if the first man on earth was not an adult with understanding? Now, an adult cannot just appear out of nowhere. You didn't become or start off as an adult. You were a baby. who had adult presence to help you, to aid you, to grow you, to groom you, to become the person that you are today. You were not here as an adult. So then consider the magic and the power of it, that the first people on earth, the first Adam, was already an adult whom God had made, whom God had created. And through him, civilization began, whether he was the first man or the other man. Regardless, just the logic of it is that those who birthed the further nations had to be adults already. And only God can do such a thing. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Easy, the chicken first. The chicken came first. Now again, consider it. How would any adult chicken, any adult cow, any adult elephant, any adult crocodile, birds, eagles? Because once again, logically, we know that no creature on this earth can survive just from its baby form without its adult supervision. None on the earth can do so, with the rarity of perhaps a few who are abandoned as babies and they find ways to survive. But most creatures, particularly the mammals, from the elephants to the dogs to the cats to the deer to whatever else, even the snakes, those snakes hardly really ever reptilian, ever really grow their children or groom them. They kind of just let them survive on their own, regardless. None of these creatures could have been on this earth except an adult form of that creature was on the earth first to produce after itself. To produce after itself. Therefore, the adult elephants had to be there. The adult crocodiles had to be there. The adult chickens, the adult eagles had to be there first. And then the male and female form of it first, just as it is written in Genesis. And then the male and the female form of every creature would then produce after itself, after its kind, after its ability. And once again, who can do that except God himself, who fashions all things? The theory of evolution has no grounding to even begin with. No one with logic in their mind would even consider it, that there would be so vast the creatures, so vast the plant life, so vast an ocean life out of evolution itself or evolution alone. It is impossible. Yet scientists here want you to believe this because they can't explain it, or they choose not to explain it because to explain the reality of life and creation, it is impossible to take God out. Even the Big Bang, which they propose to be the beginning of the universe, where would that have come from? The molecules that formed to form the planets, the stars, and everything else, where did they come from? They do not know, and they would not dare to consider any other option but God. That's why they would not say where that Big Bang originated. We know better. God made all things. When you understand that God made all things, everything just becomes easier and simpler to understand because everything just makes sense. When you try to bring it from a scientific point of view, from an understanding point of view, from a theoretical point of view, you'll be coming up with theories until the age of time, and you will not get any closer to any particular answer because you're making things up as you go, thinking that you're greater than the creation that you're a part of. When you realize that you are a created being, and there's one above you who created you, who understands you, who knows you, your life becomes so much easier, and life becomes so much easier to understand because you'll know where you come from and you will know where you're going, because God Himself will put those expectations of your future in you. The theory of revolution, or evolution rather, but more revolution really, because it was the revolutionary minds who set these things up to confuse people. But the theory of evolution does not exist. It is pointless. It explains nothing. Only God explains everything. Only God can explain everything, because He made everything and He knew why everything was made. Let me repeat that again. He made everything and He knew why everything was made. Only God can make existence understandable. If you want to know who you are, where you come from, learn who God is and what He intended when He made all things, then everything becomes easier to understand and answers become easier to find. Then we won't be working with theories. We won't be working with theories. So God is the originator of all things. Let's make life easier and understanding easier. Now I know schools still teach on evolution, that you came from something small, from a, yeah, it really is useless, pointless. Darwin, I believe, is the name. Darwin's evolution theory, absolutely useless. If you take that theory to heaven, you'll be laughed at, particularly the angels, particularly because there's a spiritual realm. And they also don't understand that. Anyone who professes anything about evolution does not understand the spiritual realm, does not understand heaven, does not understand the movement of angels, the movement of spirits, the movement of demons, the movement of the unseen world. Because that in itself cannot be encompassed in that theory that they've come up with. Where did these creatures come from? How do they survive? How do they work? What is their system like? Any scientist who truly wants to understand how everything works has to acknowledge God. And only the prideful who choose not to acknowledge God and come up with whatever theories they wish to make the world understandable. And all of those theories fall short. All of those theories fall short. God made it all. God made it all. God made it all. That is the answer. Thank you for listening. Be blessed.